Hello and welcome to Great Lakes Podcast. I am Priyanka Trakroo, Head of Accreditations and Rankings at Great Lakes Institute of Management, Gurgaon. It is a very special episode for us as we have recently been accredited by the AACSB globally, which is widely regarded as the most prestigious accreditation for business school education globally. The accreditation is held by only 6% of the institutions worldwide. To completely understand what it really means, not only for the institutions, but also for the students and the industry partners, we have a very special guest with us today, Mr. Prathap Das. Mr. Das is the Regional Head South Asia for AACSB. He's been working extensively towards expanding memberships. He's been working towards improving academic ties. It is wonderful to have you here with us, Mr. Das.
Thank you.
And thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you. To start our conversation, it is really important to understand the weight that AACSB carries. Can you please explain to our listeners what AACSB actually means and how many institutions in India have attained it?
Thank you. Thank you for the question. Warm greetings to all listeners. I'm very pleased to be here at Great Lakes Institute of Management, Gurgaon. It's a special day. I'm here for celebrating the AACSB accreditation in the campus, and always nice to see people around and a moment where business schools wait and they want to cherish these moments for a long time. To answer your question, Priyanka, today we are looking India as the second biggest market for AACSB, where we have close to 140 plus members in the country, and South Asia region is picking up quite fast in that direction. We also have about 28 accredited institutions in the country, and Great Lakes happens to be the 28th institution in the country. So I was looking at this data this morning and I was very pleased. In a year where we are celebrating 110 years of AACSB, Great Lakes has become the first institution in this year to be accredited. So very pleased with that update. And then we also have about 50 plus institutions that are in process. So as you know, membership is the first step towards AACSB accreditation. And then when you submit your eligibility application and once it gets accepted, then you go to a category called in process and you spend 3-4 years during that time, or 5-6 years, depending on the alignment with the vision mission statement, and then you reach the final lap of the accreditation journey. So we are looking at about 140 plus institutions in India that are members, 28 accredited schools, and a substantial number in the pipeline that are in process.
Thank you. Thank you so much for the answer. And I'm sure our listeners will be able to understand the impact that AACSB carries here in India. Moving on, could you also briefly explain how AACSB accreditation differs from the other regional and international accreditations?
Thank you for the question. A question that is often asked by many schools that are either members or accredited schools. Not so with the accredited schools, I would say mostly with the in-process schools, because they want to understand the differentiators. As an organization, we are a principles-based approach organization, meaning we have fewer rules. There are certain rules like, we say that for a business school to start, we need to have 16 full-time faculty members. Faculty members should continue to publish in peer-reviewed journals. So there are certain rules, and the school has to have 2 batches passed out if they have to start the journey of accreditation. But beyond that, we are more like a vision driven organization. So we look at your vision statement very closely, mission statement closely, and then once we see the alignment, the accreditation is awarded. So in some cases, when it comes to domestic, accreditation agencies, they call their visits as audit or inspection. In our case, we never call ourselves, either auditors or visits as inspection. we call our visit a PRT visit, peer review team visit. So this gives the school motivation. This gives stakeholders the motivation to deliver more during those visits and make sure that they are kind of reaching the final lap of the journey. But otherwise, they are different in many ways. We said lesser rules. We want to make sure that what you say in your vision mission statement, you are kind of delivering those things. At the end of the day, faculty members around the world, when they start associating with you, they look at the vision and mission statement closely. And we are also seeing a trend where students and learners are also trying to understand what is the vision of the institution, and we often say mission is your current identity and vision is your future state. So where do you see yourself in 3-4 years from now? So and when we see alignment with the vision mission statement, there is progress, and that's where these milestones will lead to a stage where PRT comes and then the accreditation is awarded. There are other finer details, there are other technical things that they're there, but for a conversation like this, it's more like a principles based approach where we look at what you are trying to, where you are and where you want to be, and once accreditation is awarded for 6 years, how would you continue on that path?
Truly. Thank you. Thank you so much. That was enlightening. And yes, there is a difference when it comes to the process and the way the regional and the international accreditations are conducted. Yeah. So moving on, one of a very frequent question that we get asked from the students is, what is in it for them? So what does the AACSB accreditation, what kind of a difference will it bring to their learning journey or their career prospects?
Very good question. And often we are getting this question, from all business schools, whether members or accredited schools or in-process schools, because learners are key. They are a very important stakeholder. When a business school is onboarded as a member, or when a business school is accredited, we go to them and we talk to them about 4 important stakeholders, and that includes faculty, industry, learners, and government. And you see among the 4 foundational pillars, we have students and learners as one important stakeholder. When it comes to what is in it for them in a campus, if they are in a AACSB school, we can tell with confidence, and this is all data that is being published in different journals and magazines. One data says, 96% of the responding alum from AACSB schools confirmed that they are employed. So employability is, in a world where things are changing so fast, we say with confidence that industry will recognize you as talent that they can lay hands on. So the students are clearly sought after by the employers in the by the industry. We also see greater demand for these learners, considering that they have been in the system where curriculum has been relevant. There has been processes like assurance of learning where competencies and other areas improved over a period of time. So these are all indications that there is a lot of benefit for students. So we are looking at industry placements, we are looking at relevant curriculum. As an organization, there is a growing network of students from our AACSB schools. So we want to make sure that we also kind of create a platform for them to come, share, and contribute. There are various communities that are available. But yeah, to answer your question in short, I would say relevant in the industry, latest curriculum that is being offered in the campus, and the sheer fact of they embracing the philosophy of continuous improvement. And that is what the process is all about. So, and this will make them more effective 2 years after their course, and these are some benefits, I would say, for students.
That's good to know. I'm sure our students will be greatly benefited from this conversation. Now, talking about the other side, that's the industry, the corporate partners that we have, how should they look at AACSB accredited schools? Do they also consider AACSB accreditation while evaluating the business schools for hiring students, for employee trainings, or for recruiting students for their entities?
Absolutely. Yeah, a very relevant question. Again, most schools that are in process or have just finished their accreditation, come up with this question, and they have seen evidence during the process because, as you know, AACSB journey is anywhere between 5 to 7 years, depending on how you are progressing. And during these 3, 4, 5 years, they typically assess who are coming to their campus, what kind of changes are they seeing with industry partners. And we have seen that the recruiters are going often to AACSB accredited schools because they see that there is relevance there. And again, there is data where we have information in published domains where the learners are sought after by leading employers. And we are also seeing traction where many organizations are paying attention in terms of which schools are getting accredited, which schools are kind of in process. I share one example. I was talking to one of the hiring head of a top organization in the country, and he was mentioning at an event that the first thing that they do before they go for visiting campus is go to the AACSB listing and understand which are the new ones. So it was interesting to know that the gentleman actually had updated information when it comes to number of accredited schools in the country, as well as in Europe. So in that year, they had some immediate hirings in Europe. So they were trying to understand which are the schools. So clearly, industry is looking this as a great advantage when it comes to going to the right business school, talking to the learners who are updated at many fronts, so we are seeing that evidence quite often, and you see 76% of the CEOs that are in the top Fortune 100 companies come from AACSB accredited schools. So one is the existing base where you have top people who are leading organizations and they have come from AACSB accredited schools. That also is an indicator to the industry that when it comes to quality, when it comes to relevance, they can always rely upon the talent from AACSB schools.
True. So adding on to that, is AACSB also facilitating the industry and academia partnership, sort of bringing them to a common platform?
It's a very interesting question because of late we are seeing the need for this now. Probably I would not say that we were working in silos, but there was that time where we were kind of parallelly working, but now we realized that we need to have that interjection, where we need to have industry and academia coming together, making sure the skills industry needs, and are these schools doing enough to meet the demand of the industry. And we are having regular forums where we bring, in a place like this, we have roundtables, we have industry stalwarts coming to us and frankly sharing their views in terms of, even if it is a school that is AACSB accredited, what is missing and how can this be improved. So that is good indication for us.
Yes.
And in the same room, we have academic, people from academia who are either making notes or making suggestions that these are things that they're doing at the school level. So we are seeing that fusion now in a bigger way. We are seeing the talks becoming more intense, and we are seeing outcomes. So the good part is, in the past, these were mere discussions, but now we have reached a stage where after every round table, we are making sure that we collect data and we kind of share with the stakeholders in terms of how the improvements have happened. One example that I also would like to share is in November, when our president and CEO was here in the country, We invited deans and directors of AACSB schools, in process and accredited schools, but we also realized that we should also invite industry. So we had our business members. So we had discussions in terms of understanding what their needs are their need, and how the needs are evolving. In a world where we are looking at Gen AI and things rapidly changing with job descriptions and things like that. So these things are ongoing, and we will continue to invest our time to have these conversations. And I also would recommend Great Lakes Institute of Management to consider these kind of opportunities as a great learning opportunity, because again, what we did so far when it comes to learner outcomes may not be enough for us to look at what the industry wants in 1 year or 6 months from now. So this constant dialogue will be extremely helpful for many stakeholders.
Sure, absolutely. You're very right there. So moving on to the next question, how does being a part of this elite group, I would say, being AACSB accredited, how does it benefit in tying up with the institutions outside the country? Does it help in strengthening those relationships? How do the institutions abroad would look at us?
Yeah, when it comes to the number of schools that are accredited, we say about 1,000 globally, and close to 200 plus in Asia Pacific region. So if you want to work region specific, then you kind of have from the Asia Pacific region about 200 plus business schools that are AACSB accredited. It's like a level playing ground for you to have conversations with these schools about faculty collaborations, students visiting the other AACSB schools. So we give that opportunity, and we have seen that collaborations are much easier, faster when you are working with a AACSB school. Now, after the milestone today, I really would like to see how the institution progresses on that path, because in 6 months or a year from now, I would like to understand, what kind of progress the school and the stakeholders here have made on those fronts, because those areas are also critical for us. We want the school to be successful on many fronts, like collaboration, research grants, and internationalization, which is again a very important aspect for us in the country now. So we are seeing a lot of action there. I'm a part of the advisory for the UK-India Business School Dialogue.
Yes.
And many business schools from UK, many universities from UK are coming to India. And, about in the last dialogue last year in September, we had about 40 universities from UK and about 20 AACSB schools, around 20 schools that attended the dialogue. And we saw the conversations were so easy and comfortable for stakeholders sitting across the table, because they were AACSB accredited schools. So, so partnerships become easier once you're an AACSB school, and also it's a signal on many fronts, and of course that elite group of 6% will always and be precious to us, and we want that pool to be bigger, because there is a lot of scope for many other business schools to also join the journey and complete the accreditation.
Thank you so much. Looking ahead, where do you see AACSB accreditation heading towards in future, particularly in the Asia region?
We are seeing rapid growth and expansion here. When I look at the landscape here of business school segment, I started my career in the publishing domain, and I was meeting a lot of business schools in 1999, 2000. Back then, we had about 600 to 700 standalone business schools, and some attached to universities as departments and school of management. Now, I did a search in the morning, a simple chat GPT search, and it said close to 5,500 business schools. So look at the number that we are seeing now. You may want to understand, are all schools aspirational? Are all schools ready for accreditation? The answer is no, not all. But there will be a segment within those 5,000 business schools, and we're looking at top 300. They are truly aspirational. They are interested in the process. As a result, we are seeing a lot of memberships that are taking place from the region. So South Asia as a region, we are seeing rapid expansion. Some of them will start the membership. Some of them will just be on the path called quality enhancement journey. They would like to perhaps understand the benefits of membership. Now, for the viewers and for the listeners, I also would like to share that when you get membership, it is not accreditation. It is the first step. But being a member, and even a school like Great Lakes was a member for good 4 years or so, they get access to many of our conferences and events. Our flagship events like Dean's Conference, where the Dean of Great Lakes has been a regular attendee and a visitor and contributed at various forums. And also we have the regional events where faculty members can come and join, present their papers. So as a member, there are many benefits. I also would like to talk about AACSB Exchange, which is again a relevant platform for faculty members who are a part of a member school and a school that is in process. So a lot of benefits are there. As far as expansion is concerned, we are foreseeing that the numbers will grow faster from here when it comes to membership. And there will be a percentage that will also go towards accreditation.
Thank you. Thank you so much for these insights. This interaction was particularly very beneficial for me to understand how AACSB body looks at accreditations in the Asia region. And I'm sure this entire episode will be beneficial to all our stakeholders, starting from students to industry partners and to us as institutions to improve our ties with institutions abroad.
Thank you for having me here. Again, as I said, on a very important day and at a moment where we are celebrating the AACSB accreditation at Great Lakes Institute of Management, Gurgaon.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.